All right, so I've never had a Delta credit card or elite status, but I know you're a big Delta guy. And I've been curious about how these companion certificates work because I don't know, maybe one of these days I'll go after one of the cards that includes a companion certificate, but I don't know how useful they'll be. So, can you explain to me, how do Delta companion certificates work? How do I use them? How do I know if I can use them? Tell me about these companion certs.
Okay, so first of all, to get a companion ticket, you need a Delta Platinum card from American Express or a Delta Reserve card. Either one of those after your first year, when you renew for the second year, that's when they'll pop these into your Delta account, and then you can use them when you're logged into your Delta account. You just get one per year with either of these cards, but you could have multiple Delta cards. You could have a Delta Platinum and a Delta Reserve, or even a Delta Platinum and a Delta Business Platinum card, and so on. So you could get more than one companion ticket per year by having multiple cards. And the cool thing is, in the past year, they've added a lot of ways you can use them. They used to be limited to flying around the lower 48 states, but now you can fly to any US state, so including Alaska and Hawaii. You can fly to Mexico, you can fly to the Caribbean, you can fly to Central America. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, now,
Yeah.
you've got a lot more you can do with these things than before. Um, the way they work is the first person on the ticket, who doesn't have to be you, by the way. You could put someone else as the first person. The first person pays the full fare. The second person only pays taxes and fees, and usually those are pretty minimal. There are some pretty big limitations, like it has to be round trip only, and it can't even be like close to round trip. You can't like fly to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and return from Miami, which is near Fort Lauderdale, right? You can't even do something like that. You have to fly in and out of the same airport and back to your origin. They're limited to discount fare classes, so this hurts you during, like, big travel times, during Christmas break, during Thanksgiving, and so on. When all the discount fares have been gobbled up, you might not be able to find any flights available with these because, again, they're only available for discount fares.
Because we all know the
Um,
discount fares do get gobbled up at Thanksgiving. I see what you did there, Greg. I see what you did there.
Very good. Cash tickets only. You can't book the first ticket with miles, and you have to pay with an American Express card. They tell you have to pay with a Delta American Express card, but that has not been my experience in practice. And lastly, only the primary passenger earns like miles and elite earnings from the flight. Let's jump in. I'll show you how it actually
Yeah.
works.
Okay, so once you have one of these companion certificates, how do you figure out whether you can use it, which flights you can use it on? Show me how these work.
I'm logged into my Delta account and I have a companion ticket available. So I'm going to show you how to find a flight to Hawaii. Let's go to Maui, let's
All
say.
right, let's go.
All
You've got a
right.
companion certificate, Greg. Let's go.
Let's go. And let's make this hard. Let's say we want to go during spring break. Let's say spring break is the first week of March. So we'll try to go the 1st to the 9th and see what happens. And what you do is you go to advanced search, use certificates, credits, or Delta gift cards, and wait till you have to be logged in, of course, for this to work. Find your companion ticket, click the checkbox for it, go to the bottom here, and click redeem. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so now it says book a flight with your companion certificate selected. I want to do the 1st to the 9th. It defaults to 2 passengers because you're doing a companion ticket, and click search. So I'm flying from Detroit, by the way. That's my home airport. So Nick, you're going to have to, if you want to join me, you're going to have to get to Detroit to join me on this trip.
You'll have to show me how I can get to Detroit cheaply in a future video.
So it couldn't find flights for that particular date. So what it did is it brought up a calendar of when there are dates available. And what it did is it did, departure dates within a week within plus or minus 3 days of what I originally picked, and return dates plus or minus 3 days. If you want to look further out, you could change the price calendar, and that'll show you a monthly calendar. But let's say we're happy with this. We do want to go that particular week. and we're willing to leave on Friday instead of Saturday, and we're willing to come home on Monday instead of Sunday, let's say.
Yeah,
So
I'm willing to do that. Let's do it.
why not? If you have school or something, you miss a day or two. So now it shows you that there's only one eligible flight for departure to Maui, and that's through Seattle. And so you can pick that. And then it's going to pull up the return options. And here, actually, there's a lot of return options because no one wants to fly on Monday, I guess. And so you could just pick whichever one is best for you. So now you can actually just check out and pay for it. Maybe you're using your companion ticket for somebody else. You could just click I'm not traveling and put in a different primary passenger and then put in the secondary passenger
That's
the
awesome.
next. Yeah, yeah.
So
So
you
it's
could actually
easy.
gift this to somebody. You could buy tickets for somebody else.
Yes, yes, absolutely. What you can't do is give the companion certificate to someone else to use their own credit card to book it. Like you
Mhm.
have to be the one logged into your Delta account to book it. Now, you know, if they trust you, you could use their credit card to pay for the primary passenger. But yeah, you just can't give it to them. And then when you go down to the payment part, you can use it's going to want you to use it or through their advertising they say you need to use your Delta card, but you could use any American Express card to pay.
Wow, very good. So that's a total $886.80 in this example for two passengers, right?
Right. So yeah, so it shows for the base fare, passenger 2 is 0 and passenger 1 is 718, and then all these taxes and fees are for both passengers.
Like some days were even cheaper than this. This wasn't even necessarily the cheapest set of dates that you picked. So that's pretty terrific, it seems. I mean, less than what is that, $443 a piece to get from Detroit to Hawaii during like spring break season.
during
That seems
during
like a
prime
fantastic
season.
deal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, as we showed though, you have to be a little bit flexible to use them during prime travel times, but you can save a ton of money.
Awesome. Okay, so I have a few questions now. My first question is, does this have to be used for economy class? Could I use it to fly up front in first class?
If you have the companion certificate that comes with the Delta Reserve card, which is the more expensive Delta card, then yes, you could fly in first class. It's still limited to first class where the cheaper fares are available. But yeah, and you can save literally thousands of dollars in that case. But partly that's because Delta charges sometimes thousands of dollars for a round trip to Hawaii. But yeah, obviously you can do really well with that.
Okay, now these companion certificates, I know you said they're valid for Alaska, Hawaii. So anywhere in the United States, can you go anywhere overseas with the companion certificates? Are there any international destinations you can visit?
You could fly to the Caribbean. You could fly to Mexico. You could fly to Central America. You can't fly across the ocean, but you can fly to a number of nearby international destinations. So yeah, so that's great.
Taxes and fees may be a little bit more because if you travel internationally, then there are going to be some additional international taxes that the second passenger will have to pay, right?
I expect so. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. And now my last question, I guess, is so if I don't have a companion certificate, you showed me how to do this if I have a companion certificate, but you don't get the companion certificate, if I recall correctly from what you said, until after your first anniversary. So when you open one of these credit cards that comes with one, it doesn't come with one initially. You have to wait until after you pay the annual fee for the second year. Then you get one every year after that, right? So if I don't
Right.
already have a companion certificate, I just want to know, okay, well, if I get this credit card, I want to see, this is great. I see what's available from Detroit right now, but I don't live in Detroit. So if I want to check from my home airport and see, well, can I actually use these out of my home airport? How could I find out in advance before I get the credit card and know whether or not these are ever going to be available?
Yeah. I'm sure there are tools available that you can do this more easily, but with Delta itself, if you don't have a companion certificate, you can still search for round trip flights. Then you could look for the cheaper fare classes, LUT, X, or V. Those are the economy cheap fare classes. And so I just ran the search without the companion ticket attached, and not all of the not all the flights show a fare code, but a number of them do. So here you see M. Well, that's not
Mhm.
one of the discount ones. So keep scrolling. H. Here we go. L. L is one of the companion ones, and so and this in fact 8:25 a.m. Through Seattle. That's the one we found in our example before. Um, if you do it this way, though, don't forget to do the search with two passengers because that L fare code needs to be available for two people, not just one. So that's very important.
Very good. So one more time, the qualifying fare codes, the letters that you need to find in main cabin are L.
L, U, T, X, and V.
Okay, so those are the ones you're looking for if you want to check in advance and figure out whether or not these would be available. Now, of course, obviously, you won't get one for about a year after you've opened the card, so you're not
Right.
going to necessarily know today whether you're going to be able to use them for your trip next year, but you can at least get an idea of how widely available they are out of your airport for the
Yeah.
types of trips that you're looking for.
Yes, you can.
Very good. Interesting. Well, that actually it makes me more intrigued. I've known about these companion certificates for a long time, but I've never known how to search for one on my own. So I didn't know how to figure out whether or not they would make sense for me. This is actually really helpful for me. Thank you,
Awesome.
Greg.
You're very welcome.